Welcome to the Jungle Brothers podcast, episode 79. You're here today with myself, Paul Fotofili, and to your reward is across the table from me.
Oh, hello.
Joe's on holidays for a couple of weeks. Have a great time, Joey. So, just tear myself.
Don't turn the podcast off just because Joe's away.
No.
Just lost half our listeners. Could have just pretended he was here.
JungleBrothers.com if you want any help or if you want to know a little bit more about what we do here. All the contact details on our website. We've got an Instagram, Facebook, etc. We're drinking Panavore coffee from Panavore Cafe here in South Sydney. Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Tree.
Thanks, Tree.
Yeah. Last week's podcast, we spoke about fatherhood and small business.
Can
you get 2 cups, please? Thank you. Surviving small business and fatherhood. Have a listen. Check it out. We had some good feedback from just people in general in the gym and stuff. Often you have these podcasts, you're not sure if anyone's listening. It's really nice. It was like, it's a bunch of fathers that definitely said there was some useful stuff, and it was good just to have a listen and know that there's other people out there not sleeping. We just had a good discussion around, parenthood and business, etc. Have a listen to that one. Events that have been happening in this past week. Events were last Saturday was a garden day. Every turn of the season, we have a gardening day here where we clean up the garden and the area surrounding the garden and the gym in general. It's a bit of a community event. All the members come down, people bring food and salads, and then all pitch in. Usually we have a few things that need to get done. Other people bring their own ideas as well. And it's a really, really great event. And T, you mentioned, and I think it's very true, like we hadn't had a community event for some time. We had the JB Games, which is one of our big annual events, and we had to skip that because of COVID. We really tried to make that happen actually, but the council here wasn't willing to let us put one on in the public down in the park there. And Dylan here at the gym put together a sick proposal. I think he edited it twice for him and they still wouldn't have it. But this one, everyone coming together safely, of course. You could just see it on people's faces. They were just like stoked to be hanging out. And the results were amazing. We're going to talk a bit about that today.
Are you joining us, Dylan? Were you on today?
Oh, yeah. Feel free to join. So the garden day here, if you're listening from overseas, this is our winter going into spring.
Yeah.
It's very welcome. Obviously, the temperatures here already creeping in the mid-20s, some days beyond, depending if you're in the sun or the shade. This weekend's going to be a warm one, but the bird life is out and it's a prime time for spring cleaning in general, and the garden got a good working over. T, of course, is our head of... Do you have a department head name for that?
No. I just like to garden.
Your gym growth and
it's a design.
You're a gym build. Yeah.
Build.
But also huge green thumb. So he's naturally, there's a huge move towards, you're into permaculture.
I love permaculture.
And gardening.
Right.
Sort out. Tell us a little bit about it.
Some headphones there, Dills?
No, yeah.
Whichever one you like.
Yeah, come on over here.
Get on that mic.
Tell us about the gardening day, T. By the way, T loves it. And he's...
Oh, fuck. Talk your ear off for
talk
hours
your ear off.
Put you all to sleep.
Sorry. I know I just asked you to tell us about it, but I'm just going to lay down the landscape for people.
Yep.
Tiro's a young, fit guy, and he looks amazing.
Youngish.
Moves well.
I think I'm younger than I am because I'm hanging out with younger people. I'm actually the oldest guy in the gym.
Are you?
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
no,
it's
you're
coaches.
Not.
It's coaches. We've
got
11 coaches. I'm
Someone's
the oldest coach.
The wisest. Just
and I think
I'm
the youngest. And I get treated like the youngest as well.
Well, he looks very young.
I get all the lectures, like the young kid lecture.
We'll get this.
Which I deserve and I need. But I get them regularly, and not just by my coaches, but also by my members and people that I train.
What do they say?
As in, like...
You're not as young as you think you are?
No, more about... Well, probably the same issues. My punctuality, my...
Yep.
haphazardness, the way I organise myself and
Or don't
how
organize
selfish
yourself.
I am with with other people's time.
What I wanted to tell people was just to paint a picture of how into gardening you are, is you might walk into this office here and this young shredded gym owner here will be sitting in the corner reading a seed magazine, one of the old ones that your grandma has on subscription, and it's got all the poppies.
porn.
It comes in with like little seed packets and stuff like that, and he'll just have his head buried in one of those.
Oh, so good.
He
Some
loves
of
it
the
that
times
much.
that we've
Send me cuttings.
we've had him doing tours of the garden for the last 3 days. I've seen you with like
A lot of
5-6
tours.
people out there. Just
Yeah, even a video tour.
Oh,
Did a
yeah.
video tour for the Sustainable Think Tank. That's our sustainable think tank group on Facebook. So if you want to join, just reach out. Jungle Brothers Sustainable Think Tank. We talk about everything
Sustainability
sustainable.
think tank, isn't it?
Yes, sustainability
think tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of action going in there
Sustainability
last
think tank.
month.
And we actually had another gym reach out to us. Movement Newcastle Rod Cooper. What's the name of their gym again?
Movement Collective.
Movement
Oh,
Collective.
really? What
Yeah.
did he say?
That I spoke to a lovely lady called Doras, who's actually one of their coaches, and she's heading their community garden.
Oh, cool.
And I
Great.
think they might have. Hopefully, I think we inspired them to do the same as what
Well,
we've
they
done here.
did. I saw
No
that
doubt.
he commented on the IG post.
Yes,
Garden Day.
for Dorcas, and he tagged her in. We had a video convo not so long ago about how they go about putting together their first community garden, which I think is awesome. It's great. And I think off the back of this garden, man, probably about 6 or 7 at least people within the gym have created their own little garden. Once you realize how easy it is and how much you gain for the little amount of time you put into it, it's worth it's worth the investment,
Yeah, definitely.
time and energy.
Yeah, I really take my hats off to you because I didn't really have a garden growing up. I had a taro patch at the back. Which
That is as Polynesian as it gets.
yeah, we had that, but we didn't have like a garden. I don't know much about gardening, and what I have learnt in the last kind of 10 years is just from hanging out here and just tailing along with you and all the gardens we've had at the gym. And yeah, you do it really well, and you've got a fierce passion that everyone can feel, and they just kind of just follow you. And then there's those heads in the gym, the people who they're green thumbs as well. They just pop up, and you all get together. And it's mad to see. Like it was a good working bee on Saturday.
It was good. What we got done, we got picked some poo up from the Redfern police station. You get all that for free, like a whole
horseman.
truckload of
Yep.
horse manure and straw and horse weed, which is fantastic for your top layer. Then we went to Dills and Ty went and got some dry mulch from one of the council drops in Maroubra.
Yeah.
And that's a top layer. We've got that as well. So all this stuff usually costs you bloody hundreds at the garden shop. But if you do a little bit of researching, you can get it all for free. So that's a route that we took. But what do? We got a bookshelf, a book exchange, community book exchange.
Yep.
Up, we built that out of an old ammunition cabinet. We put a pump in for the next door neighbour's water tank because they don't use it. So that's
Rainwater
now
tank?
rainwater fueling our garden. We got our ponds up and running, two ponds.
One new one.
One new one, and hopefully we'll get a bit of frog life or some fish life in those. And then we got our seedling mobile greenhouses on wheels, which were originally cake display units for my sister-in-law's shop, and they were no longer being used. And they're stainless steel and glass, and they're just like, what are they, like
Pretty cool, eh?
a meter and a bit by
In diameter.
half a
Amazing.
meter.
I thought that's
caster
what they
wheels.
were designed for. I thought they were actually like
They're-
little seedling things.
Yeah,
No,
no, they were cake display units in a shop.
sick.
So Carl put perspex around the inside of the outside of the bottom one, and then we ran little shower heads on the inside of that, and that's hooked up to the timer. And then when people come in the gym, they turn on in the morning and give the seedlings a little water, and all our members get to watch these seedlings start to grow over time. And I think that's something very special about seeing nature in action.
Goes hand in hand with the physical development of the human inside as well.
That's
Yeah.
No
right.
doubt, because it's
Symbiotic.
it's the
Is that
same
a
thing.
word?
Symbiotic.
Symbolic.
I think I had that as a baby.
I've mixed up. It's a combination of symbiosis and symbolic.
Yes.
It's a new
no,
word.
it's new. Bro.
If it
Add
wasn't
that
a
to
word
the-
before, it
That's how
is.
words are created.
What is it?
genius.
Coleman's Dictionary.
Thanks to Panavore for fueling that new phrasing.
But there's fruit coming through everywhere.
Yeah.
Olives, cherry guava, Hawaiian guava, mulberries, their favorite at the moment. What else?
The passion fruits
Passion
are
fruits are,
probably caught, like there's
yeah.
the bush
6 or
itself
7,
has
man.
doubled
Looking heavy.
in size,
it's looking
but
good at the moment.
the produce is going to quadruple or more.
I think the
It's already
craziest thing about it
flowering
is we're
everywhere.
just like in a little industrial estate in the middle of an industrial suburb and
Warehouse,
in an
warehouse
industrial
and
With
city.
average sun cover,
Yes.
like pretty average sun cover.
Yeah, we just get like afternoon kind of west facing a little bit, but it's still cranking away out there. It's great. I'm looking forward to putting stuff in the Verge. That's going to be interesting.
So we didn't contact council about that, did we?
We did not, but we did it anyway.
We did it anyway. All we did was we boarded up the side of a shitty verge where dirt would, in heavy rains, would just slide off the top anyway, and just boarded up one side, right?
That's right.
So instead of it kind of veering off on all sides in a little mound, it just kind of squares off towards the gutter. It's good. And when you look right next to the gutter, there's that big concrete thing, which is a drain cover,
Yeah.
which is like way more dangerous. And that opens the side of, cars open the side of their doors with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
think-
just going to continue on with that
Just got to
height.
continue on.
And we're going to put in a bunch of grevilleas and some native grass, and hopefully we can get some small bird life and some big birds in as well.
Hell yeah, guerrilla gardener style.
Yeah.
Get it in there.
We're
under the
spreading.
radar.
Spreading down the street. It's great. But yeah, I think it's been, look, it goes hand in hand with our ethos, and that's to just acknowledge all elements of health or variables, really, and anything that potentially affects us directly or indirectly. And I think it's very easy as a human, and we're kind of geared up like that to be able to push things away. You know what I mean? And I think it was really very obvious when we were going through our bushfire season, when we had, I don't know, fucking 6 billion hectares or whatever it was on fire. And the strangest thing was, it was just like life just kind of just went on. And even though the fire was, oh, look, there's fires in South Australia. Shit, that's terrible. Oh, shit, there's fires in fucking,
LA.
no, like,
Cali. What?
no, we're talking like,
Around here.
Oh, okay.
there were fires in Nowra, and it's getting closer and it's closer, and smoke in the air, but it's still not your house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden there were fires in Sydney, and you're like, there's fires in Sydney. Shit, that sucks. But there's no,
Unless it's on your street.
yeah, unless your fucking house is burning, then you're like, all right, we need to take action. And now, after the big commission that went forward to see what actually caused these fires, after all the courts and all the fucking professionals and all the specialists came in and finally got all the legal readout, and there were no arsonists. It was nothing to do with not enough backburning.
Is that
and
true?
it was all to do with climate change. Yes. And even Gladys Barron...
Berejiklian.
I always struggle with a second name. She came out and you know, to come
Bella.
from a Liberal, this is a difficult thing for them to say, considering that they have such a strong support from the National Party. She said it publicly that it is the evidence is so overwhelming, it can't be ignored.
That's right.
Climate change played its role in these bushfires. She didn't say it was because of that, but she did in a way, which is quite courageous for her to step out into that space, because we all know that the Liberal Party at this stage don't like talking about that as a topic. And that, I guess, brings us back to coming into COVID and how much COVID shifted the conversation globally off climate change and onto this imminent threat. And And then you ask yourself, okay, well, why was this virus that, sure, it's killing people and it's terrible and it needed to be acted on. Why is our ability to act so efficiently globally in most places, not all, over this virus, yet our reluctance to act on something that's far more dangerous and more grave and probably more imminent is just not there, you know? And it's kind of, there's something psychological there with humans where it's like, okay, this is gonna kill my dad or my granddad, or it's gonna kill me. Or like, I'm in the firing line. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, fuck it, you know, let's take a hit. But we're still not connecting the dots. We're not looking at climate change and saying that's terrible, but it's probably not my problem, you know?
Yep. Still got that 2-3 generation gap that it's like, okay, not important to me. I know it's an issue, but I can disassociate from it.
Yeah.
Same as the fires, right? Like, it's like, oh, it's not right on my street, so it's awful, but it's not my problem.
Yes. Yeah, and it's funny how we can switch things off like that and just kind of get on with the day-to-day activity. And it was very surreal. Like, I was sitting outside a cafe and I'm thinking, shit, I shouldn't even be outside right now, because I think it was like when the pollution was the heaviest that it was over that time. And I'm thinking, man, like, I feel like I'm smoking a pack of durries, and then I'm watching these girls like jog down the street and they're doing the jog, and I'm like, oh man, that's fucking strange.
Yeah.
You know, jogging down the street, like at the height of where the air quality was so extreme that it was like, don't go outside, and they were setting off fire alarms in people's fucking homes and offices. It's very strange, like the disconnection. And then you ask yourself, okay, well, what kind of effect does something like that have on your health? Like, we all took a hit that summer, you know?
We don't necessarily know about it.
Fucking kids, bro, like, are young. They got tiny little lungs. They took a hit that summer. No doubt, you know? You imagine sitting your children down and feeding them a pack of ciggies, you know, day in and day out for a week. There's damage done there. No doubt. No doubt. So then you got to ask yourself, all right, well, is this a political agenda, or is it a health issue? I mean, it's the same way we look at what's happening with COVID and how this is being used as this political tool to be pushed back and forth by politicians. But at the end of the day, it's a fucking health issue. So it should be bipartisan, and the argument should be about how we go about fixing it and not whether it exists or not, you know?
Yeah, I think that when you look at the two problems, say climate change versus COVID, I mean, obviously one's more immediate, like one...
it's in front of you.
It's right in front of you, and the other one's not. And then it's natural to see why you would react to that one. Because also, and then there's the political agenda, as you said, and the election cycles. So if election cycles were every 20 years, then you might see someone trying to, make some changes, but because they're so short. So then for politics, it's like a reward that they'll never get to get the kudos for type thing. So like it makes sense. And then you got the business ties between the two. So when I think, who stands to benefit from climate change? Well, I know who doesn't stand to benefit, and there's obviously big business in fossil fuels, etc. Like, that's pissing a lot of rich people off that they're, whatever. So, the whole economy is tied into, very intricately versus like the COVID. Who benefits from the COVID pandemic?
Well,
like eventually,
the big argument right now is that the pharma companies are out there trying to make a big buck.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, someone's going to make some money from getting a fucking
vaccine.
And that's fine. You're saving how many fucking hundreds of thousands of lives? Good. If you're going to put your head down and work real hard and become a scientist, and then fix these things, and then you come up with a solution to help people survive and live, then you definitely should get paid a lot of money. But I think the problem that's going to arise from that is like, who gets this access to this vaccine first? Because as soon as you can vaccinate your population, you get back to earning money, and this is great for your economy. And are you going to stifle your competitors from getting access to that vaccine, or do other countries not have enough money to buy it? You know, I mean, look at Africa, India. These places have to vaccinate a lot of people for it to be even like viable or worthwhile for, like, bring it into a place. So it's not going to go away anytime soon.
I remember what I was going to say, but
issue.
the political benefits, I guess, comparing the two problems, because I guess we're talking a little bit about how COVID and the pandemic, which, you know, it was a real thing. We're not saying it's not, but it came in and really masked a bigger issue, took a bit of, you know, attention away from it. And I guess for politics, climate change is problematic for both political parties, because it's a big long-term thing, but it requires lots of change. It's really hard to actually make those changes type thing, and no one really wants to do that. Whereas COVID, in a political sense, was really easy to lean into for anyone.
Yeah,
like,
it's short term.
It's short term.
Short term.
Yeah,
and then you can be a hero.
you can be a hero.
Time.
Yeah, it's the war against germs type thing. It's
our political climate has changed hugely. Like, Morrison has gone from being a very unpopular person to very popular over a very short period of time.
Is he popular?
COVID saved him.
More accepted, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way more
think about
popular
it,
than he was.
You need a leader in that sort of time, right? So even if he's not doing
Yeah, it
the
doesn't.
best job, it
That's
doesn't
right.
matter, because no one's going to be like calling for his head at this time. It's like, no, we got to have someone to rally behind.
Yeah,
And if he can get us through, that's all that matters.
and
Australia's done well, you know.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's because of the decisions he made or not, it doesn't really matter. Like, everyone's
That's
just
right.
like, okay, we're in a good place compared to most places on the
and he
planet.
was the captain of the
And he
ship
was
while
captaining the
we went
ship.
through that
So,
storm.
Yeah, and all hats off to him. I'm very happy that my business is running and the way things worked out. But it doesn't take away the fact that there is a much bigger issue boiling away in the background. The earth is still warming up. It's still warming up. And we have to make a transition, and looking at the way politics is fumbling over this situation all over the world, whether they're trying to move forward and the big companies around them are slowing them down, or they've just got too much red tape to move between, or their politicians are not recognizing it at all. Things have to change. And one thing that changes everything is business direction. And what we have to realize is that every single one of us has the power to make big change. And the only way that can happen is if you start thinking about, okay, what products am I buying? What businesses am I investing in? What like habits do I have on a daily basis? Where is my food coming from? What kind of detergent am I using? What kind of vehicle am I driving? How can I start lowering my own personal footprint, and then also investing in companies that are choosing to do the same?
How am I bringing my kids up? Which I tend to think that's like that's way more powerful than any vote that you can cast, is literally bringing up the next generation with certain things in mind. And all of those choices is how we make a difference, right?
Do you know what one of the biggest psychological issues was before COVID was climate anxiety? And this is for kids under, I think it was between the age of 14 and 21 kind of thing. So this generation that's coming through now are well aware that if we continue on the current trajectory, there will be nothing for them by the time they're our age. The earth will be uninhabitable if we continue on the path that we're working on. And we're so obsessed with, like, okay, we want our kids to have a good education, got to get them to school, and they got to be taught science and STEM and everything. And then they come home and say, well, fucking world's boiling, you know, stats are showing
I'm not studying.
There's more fucking evidence for climate change there is for fucking smoking causing
It
you
reminds
cancer.
me of
And the parents turn around and go, oh, fuck, that's all bullshit, you know, or are you overacting a little bit?
it's like Interstellar, right? In that movie, there's a scene at the beginning where his daughter gets in trouble because she's being too smart in class. And the whole thing behind it is like they want a generation of farmers because the world's running out of food and the only crop they have left is corn and there's dust storms. And it's no, we don't need any more scientists. We need the farmers.
That whole like scenario.
Well, that's a scary thing, right? Because it's not far off that now. If we start losing our crop strains and the dust storms build up and everything goes down that path, it's going to be the case where everyone's more valued as an agricultural thing.
Yeah.
And if you can build a rocket, sure, that's cool, but that's not going to help us now, is it?
No. And looking at what's happening on the west coast of America right now, they hit like 49 degrees for like 3 or 4 days straight, highest recorded temperatures ever. And they had, for the first time in history, a fire tornado warning. So fire tornadoes when there's so much heat getting produced by these forest fires that it starts to create a tornado from the turbulence of the heat rising.
Jesus.
And it starts to ignite the oxygen in the air.
That's terrifying.
And the fucking thing will just take off in a direction. And you're just like running from that shit.
That's hell.
That is hell.
Hell.
It is hell. And this
ripping
fucking
through things,
tweet
the
of
last
a
days.
president sitting there saying that they haven't cleared the forest floor. It's like, dude,
Mate, can we have
are
that
you
sound
kidding
bite? You know when
twit.
was
Did you watch the
Trump they had that press conference?
the first debate?
I
Biden
just
and-
saw
sorry.
the highlights were with the
Oh,
Benny
yes,
Hill
yeah,
music
yeah,
playing
yeah,
in the
yeah,
background.
Oh yeah.
I would advise anyone to watch it from start to finish.
How long does it go for?
I'm only saying that because the press will like to always sensationalize things, and all the snippets you see of the two, they're just kind of squabbling.
Well, I couldn't find like a nice little video. You know, I was like on my way home from work. I was like, I want to see what the key points were, and every outlet. Well, I guess there might not have been that many key points.
It was
but it was all just the shit fight. It was just the mudslinging.
I read
and stuff like that.
one title that was like, it was like sitting taking a
no, it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess.
Hot mess in
a trash can in a train wreck.
Yeah, I read another one that was it was like taking a dump in a hot box on meth. You know those portaloos?
Oh yeah. At the festy.
But it was fucking unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And the majority of it was Biden trying to put forward some kind of policy and Trump just screaming over the top of him like a fucking child. It was very, very surreal. And I bring this up because we don't talk about politics much, especially the younger generation. I'm around, like I was saying before, I'm the oldest coach in the gym. And I talk about it a lot. And I can see with certain people, probably everyone, after a while, they're like, I don't want to fucking talk about this shit, but I'm going to listen to him anyway.
He's ranting.
But it is important because it is directly relative to our health. And this election is important because this is the most powerful seat that humankind has ever had available for one person to sit in. But it is the most, at this point in time. And if that's not handled well, then that power can shift to someone else. And if let's say America cannibalizes itself and starts to implode, then all of a sudden their era is over, and the next big the next world power steps into its place, and that at this stage right now is China. So to have a strong economy there to help balance China out and the States, because you need balance, you need strong leadership. And when you have someone that gets up and starts acknowledging the science, and this is what Biden did, he stood up there and he said, we need to get off the fossils. We have to start moving towards renewables. And this is, look at what is happening on the west coast of America. People are dying, fucking shops are burning. It's time. We've got to make the move, you know? And then you've got someone else on the other side just denying it, just living in this denial. And the problem with this is when you have somebody in this seat, and we talked about this at Coaches Dev last week, things filter down.
Yep.
So then all of a sudden you have these other politicians all over the world just emulating. And they're like, oh, fuck, if he's still burning fossils, I'm burning fossils. I'm going to start digging some more up. And we're seeing it here in Australia where our political climate is shifting towards fossil fuels heavily after COVID because, one, they want to get money back in the bank. That's their excuse. Two, all the people that fund their next election campaign are all fossil fuel medium moguls, so they want to keep them happy. But when you look at it long term, we're running our fucking country. We're going to set our country up to run off a fuel source that is now obsolete. So when the rest of Europe and China and everywhere else have made that move, and it's going to cost, but look, at the end of the day, everything you invest in costs. You know what I mean? So, like, let's say I've got a car, and you say, oh well, it's going to cost to change to renewables. Well, when one power station shuts down, the idea is to build one that's more high tech, more updated. It's like when you get a new car, you can't say, well, you know, you're going to invest so much more on new cars for the rest of your life. Well, fucking I am, because I want a nicer, newer car that's more efficient, drives faster, and uses less fuel. It's exactly the same with a factory.
I mean, it's the fact, right? Like, it's going to cost, but it's going to cost less now than it will 10 years down the track. That's when right. You have to do it all in a hurry.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh crap, I need to invest double the amount now because it's all like that next level as opposed to starting now, taking your time to do it and phasing out when you have the ability to phase out as opposed to, no, I need an immediate solution.
Yes. And you're also getting energy from a free energy source. You don't have to dig deeper, pull up more fucking soil. You just have to fold out the fucking panels and you're good to go, you know?
Meanwhile, we don't have the water sources here to be able to continue to
coal seam gas
to turn over. The coal industry, but there's coal seam. There's fucking issues with that too. But just not enough water to process all of the fossil fuels as well because we're already drying out our rivers and stuff here.
It's a dead end.
It's a dead end.
We know
that.
I mean. Everyone knows it. We all know it, and we're just looking for this short term
profit,
and it's an addiction. You know, it's an Aussie addiction. We're addicted to fossil fuels here in this country, and that can only be shifted by privatized movement. You know, and I think what we're starting to see now is listening to a really interesting podcast. I forgot the name of this woman, but she's a professor in something or other. But she was talking about our next generation have a much higher interest in renewables. It's the fastest growing industry on the planet. And they're struggling to find people like to come out of university and go into mineral extraction and looking for petroleum and all the technology that goes behind clean coal and all that kind of stuff. So I have faith that humanity will move in this direction organically. Anyway, I think people are too savvy to realize, okay, I can do something I can produce energy for a fraction of the cost and sell it for the same price that these guys are doing it for. And at that point, tide's just going to shift. It's going to shift, and all these fucking dinosaurs are just going to.
They're going to go down fighting.
They're going to go down fighting, but they'll be extinguished at that stage, or they'll just start shifting all their shares into renewables.
It's funny. It's so funny to me what you said about like people coming out of uni now, not wanting to go that path, and I think it's something that you forget as you get older, or maybe it's because it wasn't a fact when you're a kid, but like a fact is a fact, right? Like you can't argue with a fact. Your opinion doesn't come into play. I think as we get older, we forget that, and we forget that just because we believed something when we were younger, if this new fact or this new information comes out, it doesn't matter what our opinion is on that. That is the science. That is the truth behind it. And obviously these new kids coming through, they've been taught that this is
That's
the
right.
way it is, and this is a fact. It doesn't matter. So they've got that opinion, and they're so strong about it because of that. It's cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And after you.
No, I was gonna go back to the election. Speaking about facts, and the lack of, was there a fact check on the
fact check? It was ridiculous how many lies came out of that guy's mouth.
Oh.
It was fucking like cringeworthy.
Now, what I was trying to say before when we were talking about the
Trump.
fires in Cali was when he sat down and there was, I don't know who it was, they were talking about the environmental factors, and they were sitting there and it was on screen. They were talking about the fires, and Trump was just like sitting there and receiving the signs from them, just smiling, smirking. And then at the very end, he was like,
strange.
"Man, it's getting cooler. It's getting cooler. You'll see. It's getting cooler." Like, it was just in contrast to all these facts just getting thrown at him. He just had this smirk, and I was like, "What's he thinking right now?" And his response
Not
was,
much.
"It's actually getting cooler."
Very strange.
No one's told him what aircon is, and he thinks that the temperature in
Yes.
the White House
Well,
is just
He's
the
said
whole
some
world
very
around.
strange things over the years. But one of the comments that Biden brought up was when he was talking about dropping a nuke in the I think it was it a tornado that was hitting South Coast?
didn't see that
know. Yeah, he said, "Can't you just drop a nuke in it? Probably
Oh.
nuke it."
Well, you know what? Like
Very strange.
He said that.
Yes.
you can't even like hate on him because he's gotten away with it for so long. Like,
Ugh.
why would he know any better? Every time
his
he's
whole life
made
has
these
been like that.
ridiculous claims,
You know.
no one's been like, "Oh, well, no, you're wrong," and then he's had to accept it. It's just been like one person might say you're wrong, but then he's got this whole like
Just fires them.
this posse behind
Well, in
him.
a
It's
short-
like, no, you're
right.
right,
Yeah.
of course.
Well, in
You're
3
fired.
years, like, just kind of like the presidency is just changed. Like,
Yep.
any politician is usually accountable to the things that they say. And then when you're like the president or the prime minister, like everything that you say, people are obviously hanging off, and it has a lot of carry on effect. And, we just become so numb to it now.
Yeah,
Started like when he first got elected, and now we're this far along. Like, he can just say anything.
Anything, get away with it.
And you wonder how that affects, like how that's going to carry on to the next person.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
No more
Republican Party is
accountability.
probably going to be a bit, well, the what we see in the after the Trump, post-Trump era, that if he wins another 4 years, then I think it's going to look, Republican Party is going to look very different. It's going to be more like him.
Yeah.
Because that's what wins the votes if he wins. A lot is riding on this election. And I think going back to politics and health, we have to keep in mind that there are people making decisions on our behalf that are that's directly relative to our health, our personal health, COVID, climate change, education, health, all of these things that we tend to take for granted, especially here in Australia, because it's always so good here. All of it. We're in such a lucky time, lucky place, and it's easy to overlook because you just think it's the norms, but it can change very quickly with the wrong leadership, and we're seeing that. And there's a shift to right wing nationalism across the world right now, and this is not my personal opinion. This is something that's like it's a fact.
Yep.
We're seeing it all over the world, and people are fucking starting to freak out a little. And I can understand why. There's a lot of us. There's not a lot to go around, and there's a lot of fucking big issues that no one's really taking by the horns. But I would advise any of this next generation to pay attention to the policies that your politicians are putting forward, understand what it is that they want to do, and then hold them accountable, or even better, get involved in it. If you study political science, or you've got that kind of mindset and you're a leader, and you have the ability and you care for the planet, and you care for the people around you, get up there and have a go, because there's a leadership void on this planet at the moment. It needs to be filled by young, progressive, forward-thinking, fresh blood. There's too many old men in power right now.
You know anything about New Zealand? They're coming up for election. There's the second time, I think it's
Jacinta's done
female
a
versus
fucking
female.
amazing job.
Yeah, she has.
She was
Yeah,
such
has.
a leader during
Fantastic.
COVID.
Do you know much about this other lady, the enforcer or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Know anything about what's happening over there. But I would
They've done a
be
great
very
job over
surprised
there.
if she got voted out.
Yeah, me too.
She just keeps kicking goals, you know, which is exciting. It's good. We need more of that.
Can we talk about the well, here in the office, we got a whiteboard here and we've got some goals, business goals and stuff written along the top. And, you know, we'll review those at different times of the year, usually at the beginning of the year or the end of the year. There'll be a lot of kind of whiteboard sessions, reviews, etc. Anyway, at the top, we got here our climate positive goal. We did a podcast about it freaking 9 months ago or whatever. Yeah. And we set a goal. We did some work with Jess Raspal. What did she study? Environmental science?
Yes. Yeah.
And she's kind of was there at the birth of the...
She needs to get into politics. She'd be a great politician.
Okay, yeah. So she's there with the sustainability think tank, the Jungle Brothers one. So we worked with her before we set this goal and it was like, okay, this is a good goal. We can do this, and we set a time for it. It's basically to make our business climate positive by 2022.
2022, climate positive or carbon neutral. Carbon neutral or carbon negative. Is that carbon negative? No.
And well, we hadn't really focused on that in the last 6 months because we were trying to keep the business alive, etc. But where are we with it? Where are we with it?
Well, me and Dills, since Dills came on, the first thing we did was we had a look through all of our products, so to see how we can start reducing waste.
Yep.
One thing that picked up waste-wise was fucking coffee cups.
Yep.
Man.
I think that's due to COVID too.
It totally was.
It's totally people wanting some sort of escape from the house. So
yeah, but also the
they wouldn't allow
use
the
keep cups
yeah,
because everyone who was using a keep cup,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden that you couldn't use your keep cup. So that was a bit of a setback. But then we shifted our soap company. What do we got now?
Yucca.
Yeah,
Australian natural products, and it's all industrial sized tubs.
Yeah,
and it's a pretty good company. I think they're carbon neutral as well. I'm pretty sure. So it's cool.
Yeah, we got rid of all of our like small packaging.
Yep.
We're going for the larger stuff. We've switched our air freshener to a eucalyptus oil, Australian eucalyptus oil, and some water.
Yep.
We got off the spray cans.
Quite nice because when you're in the loo and you give it a spray, you don't have to like dodge
like the Glen 20
because you hate walking out smelling like air freshener.
Everyone knows he's just gone for a shit.
Exactly. It's just
nice
like a marker. Oh, he's just done it. Yeah. So now you're just like, you just let the droplets fall on you. Like, I smell better now than going in. Yeah.
We were on to what's our toilet company name again?
Who gives a crap?
Who gives a crap?
Which
actually
comes from Fair Traders, which is who we get all our drinks from as well.
Yeah.
Which is an ethically sourced company, so everything that they sell is ethically sourced.
That's great.
So all the drinks in our fridge completely ethically sourced.
So it's piece by piece, really. It's not something that we.
Totally. It's a collective of or cumulative approach. And if you're doing one little step at a time, it's actually really easy.
Yeah.
And it fucking hasn't cost us anything extra.
No, if anything, we're saving money from it.
Saving money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just a little time, effort, and a bit of research and education. Like when it comes to the garden,
we've
and when
saved
it comes to this, it's just like a bit of time
with our
Googling.
recycled water, with our recycled our grey water decentralized grey water systems with our toilets. So when you wash your hands, your hand wash fills the cistern
to flush.
Flush.
Yep.
It's I'm going to do the math on that, but I did it the other day and it was ridiculous how many liters we were saving.
It goes back to that short-term cost versus long-term profit, right? Because the built-in cistern toilets are a little bit more expensive than the regular toilets, but you save so much over time with the water use and everything.
So true.
So the big one for us will be batteries. So that's next.
Bro,
so me and Dills are going to do a little bit of research and we're going to find out how we can get a battery wall on some kind of
Government subsidy.
yeah, we'll look
Yep.
for subsidies. I don't know if there's going to be a hell of a lot around for batteries, but I definitely think that we'll be able to get one, like we can pay it off, you know, on a monthly repayment.
It might
which
be
I,
something like where if we sell percentage of the power back or something like that.
yeah, there's some amazing deals going around at the moment. I mean, we got our panels on the roof, 48 panels, and the repayments on those panels, because there was a government subsidy that was floating around at the time. We got access to that, and then the repayments on the panel on a monthly basis was saving us $1,800 a year from what our power bill originally was before we put the panels on.
It's a no-brainer.
Fuck,
Yeah.
cheap. Like you'd do that even if you didn't give a shit about the climate.
Yeah.
What did
Like,
it cost us?
$1,800 savings, sweet.
There's a bit of a chit-chat with Katie,
It cost
our
us
landlord.
absolutely nothing.
But all in all, she's
Yeah.
all for it. It's
Yeah.
just improving her property.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was loving it.
Yeah, it was a bit of time, bit of research, phone calls, and then just
phone
making
calls.
the commitment. It's
Yep.
definitely. I look back now, and it's been 3 years. We've probably got, was it 5-year lease?
Well, yeah, once those 5 years are up, we'll be $6,000 up a year. $6,000 a year.
You know what we should do?
That's
we should get
fucking
that
big money.
We should get that that subsidy, and post that.
Yeah, for
Or
others
send-
to
yeah,
totally.
we should do. We should
Yeah.
send it to make it easy for
For other
just
gyms
to
to do
other
the
gym
same.
members and stuff. It's like, hey, dude, do this. If you're planning on staying there for 5 years or more, it's a
Take it.
no-brainer. Yeah,
Yeah, so
like
that was the batteries will be the big one for us.
Small scale, I think the next little thing is a bike rack.
Bike rack for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Encourage people to make their way here on foot or on the
Yes.
bike.
Yep.
That'd be good.
Yeah, and then there's not a hell of a lot more on top of that. I mean, we just keep spreading the word and spreading the message, and I think you get an idea when you come in the gym anyway. I mean, look around and it's covered in greenery and
Yeah.
the products are there, and I think one of the greatest things about it is that we get a lot of foot traffic, people just coming in and just looking at the brands that we're using and going, okay, I could fucking just use that at home, you know? And getting ideas about what we're doing around the gym. And yeah, they all love it, you know?
it's just the direction in general that we're moving, or the business. Lots of people just get that vibe. We're making an effort. We're going in that direction. It just helps others to slowly change that mindset, doesn't
And
it?
acknowledgement and recognition of all things relative to health.
Yep.
And it's not just climate change, it's
Mental health
it's
with like
mental
the
health.
Rise Foundation.
yeah, it's equality.
Yep.
You know, so we have very even like playing field here in the gym where everybody is treated equally. You know, members. There's no real hierarchy on the floor, especially with all of our coaches, and they all feel free to speak freely. The female staff don't feel like they don't have as much opportunity as the male staff, like color and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds kind of like, okay, it's all, that's a no-brainer, but it's not necessarily the case everywhere. You know, like there's a lot of people that are working in environments where they don't get the same opportunity to move through the ranks or to be able to speak to their boss and give them feedback that they need to become better humans. You know, it's
Well, I mean, I think that's a big thing. Is I've worked in a few other places, and everyone will claim that they've got that open line of communication, right? But there's always that fear of repercussion, and it genuinely here is that we want the growth, we want the feedback, and we do take it on board, which is the difference. It's not like, yeah, we've got an open line of communication, then you don't say anything, right? You can get out there and you can give that hard feedback, but know that it's coming from a place of love and that it's going to better the community and the business as a whole.
and the business, like, and if you look at this on a big scale, I mean, we're going back to the Trump thing. He's got nobody giving him
No
or challenging
Yeah.
his decisions. Last week I sat in our coaches development. Dylan sat down and he gave me a well-deserved
haranguing.
Yes, earful.
A knife to the front.
needed
I
it.
won't say to the back.
And
I was
then-
looking you in the eyes when I did.
Yes, for our coaches, Dev, we have a section that's like, we just call it feedback, and it's always the best part of the meeting or the shittest part, depending on how you want to fucking deliver. And it's literally a time where anyone can tell anyone anything, any feedback, good or bad. Or it's always constructive. And we really promote people to step out of their comfort zone and either give the feedback or just take it on.
Yeah.
And I've always struggled to take on feedback. I'm not going to lie. I try to defend myself, and then I hold on to it, and then it gets through sooner or later. But the last week, was it last week?
Yeah.
Last week, Dills gave me some feedback. It was all about my punctuality, which has been an issue for Joe and Paul for many years now. And I needed to hear it probably from someone else that wasn't Joe and Paul, because I just mute them at this stage in my career. And and then I had Aaron on the other side start to kind of like
Perk up.
Like it was more of a
Yeah.
lecture. It was a lecture that came from Dad. And then Nikki was like, she just kind of like got this emotional kind of outburst and started just slipping in the boot. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Saw
And
the
then,
opening
Keep going while
until-
he's there.
and then I had Alan on the other side saying, T,
Why
maybe you
is
need
that?
to look a little bit deeper into your past. There's something that maybe it's not just work related, and you have to, oh my God, I got a psychiatrist, I got my dad, I got my boss, and I've got my sister over here. And I actually felt loved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I felt like these people fucking care about me.
And I think
That was great.
The main part of that is we've all copped it, right? Like
Yeah.
this week I copped a little bit of feedback from Az, but it's the same deal. It came from a place of love, and it was nice, and I took it on board, and we use it to develop in the future. So it's not one-sided. It's not always just an attack on one person, and it's not based around emotions, based around what we think is actually skill-based and what's needed.
That's right. And I think, it just shows a very strong community when everyone can actually feel safe enough and secure enough to express themselves freely and to challenge someone's train of thought. And this is very, very important. If you're in a space where you're not being challenged, then get the fuck out. Get out. You're in a place that with little or zero growth in your life.
Usually
No?
people don't realise that they're there.
Yeah. Day in and day out.
Start feeling too comfy and don't know.
Not getting challenged. You know, you need that. It's all about growth, and this is also with your kids. You know, like we're talking about kids last week, but it's the same kind of thing. You know,
A big thing I felt for a long time. It's exactly what you said, being challenged. And I think that more and more people, like, we're more and more isolated, and we're isolated in the groups of people that we usually hang out with. So beyond just
your echo
being in
chamber.
a workplace with people who don't challenge you, but you have the echo chamber. So I tend to think, and I only feel this way because I made like a social career out of hanging out with as many diverse people as possible. I just love it. So to go to any party, someone said, let's go to this party. I love going to random parties or meeting people for the first time. And, you know, it's not easy for everyone to do that. But, and I was lucky to work in industries where I worked with people of different ages, different orientations, different everything. And I love that part of meeting people. And I've just noticed that people can really get stuck in hanging out with people of the same age group, same people who make the same money,
Yeah.
same interests. And then, when it goes into age groups, I find like, you know, you can get stuck in a job in a social circle that is a very, very, very narrow age group. So people who make the same money and you're all within 5 years of each other and you just circle around in that all the time. And obviously I've got kids, and now I see things a different way, but actually I grew up with kids all around me all the time. But there's a lot of adults out there that don't see kids or have interactions with kids. And, you know, I see that I observe them nervous around kids or not knowing how to handle my kids or something. And then it's the same on the other end of the spectrum, like hanging out with older people. And it's just, there's challenges with hanging out with older people. You got to be patient. You got to cop a bit of, hold your tongue a little bit. And then with kids is all those other things. And I think that it's a big missing piece for people, just their own personal development.
Well, there's so much to learn in those
So much to
spaces.
learn
Yeah.
from old people and
From kids as well. Like I was,
Yeah, man.
like that being in that space. 'Cause
Totally.
Kids see it how it is. There's
Totally.
no hookups. There's no distractions from work or social media or anything. It's just what is in front of them is
They're gonna call
exactly how it is, and they
Yes.
fucking call it. And they
Yeah.
call it, and they call it in the most simplest way, and it's the most hurtful as well, because you're like, oh my gosh, like they're just like
Yes.
stuck the needle in.
It's
and
that
you're
old
like,
saying.
oh.
It's like an adult calls you ugly. They're
So
just being
right.
mean. A kid calls you ugly. You're
Yes.
ugly.
That's true.
And that's what they do, you know.
Yeah.
And then with the elderly, and when I say elderly, you think about the word elderly. Even the fucking word is insulting. It should be elders. They are elder. The elder is the most
Man.
knowledgeable,
Absolutely.
most experienced individual in the tribe, and we treat them like fucking retards.
No matter
It's
what,
disgusting.
how much money they've
what's
made
happening
or
with
what
our-
they are,
with our
they
elderly
have
now.
so much that you can learn from them. So true.
Stuck in old homes and dying
Yeah.
of COVID,
Yeah.
and recycled air.
Yeah,
It's sad, and it is a waste for our generation and any other generation under them, where that knowledge just gets fucking lost with them. You know, so I think equality and its direct relation to health is very, very important, because now you have an equal playing field where the best people at what they do have the opportunity to be in the place that they need to be in to help our population move into greener pastures.
Yep.
Not this tiny little pool of entitled rich, or one certain color, or one certain sex or religion, and you've shrunken up that talent pool to a bunch of fucking whatevers. You got everyone. The bigger the talent pool, the higher the potential. As simple as that. And that is one other reason why our business is successful, you know, because of the fact that we got this there's no hookups, you know. It's not like, oh, you have to be a lifter to be a good coach here, you know. There's a lot of other attributes. Anyway, just got on a little bit of a rant then. So, what do we got?
We got climate positive by 2022.
Yeah.
I think we're on path there. I mean, we had some distractions, but you've been firing back up the think tank, etc. And I'm guessing I see the conversation going on there on the Facebook group, and I'm guessing there'll be some goals set, and it's just about mobilizing again, doing those little changes around the gym. I love the bike rack. The garden day was a success. Global warming is still an issue.
Yeah. And we're working on it
Yeah.
one step at a time.
Is there anything else you want to mention? We're coming up to the hour.
What do we got coming up? We've got a fucking fight night coming
Yeah,
up.
we do.
That's
Okay.
what I think we should be looking
Definitely
at
mention
events
that.
right now.
Events, yes.
We couldn't do our Christmas party because,
JB Games.
JB Games.
Games, yeah. Christmas
Correct.
party will still happen
Will
in some
definitely.
form.
in one
Always.
way,
It'll
shape,
always
or form.
happen.
We couldn't do the JB Games. So Dylan actually started this,
Called out as.
called out as another coach and said
Yeah.
he wants to fight him. And that
was-
snowballed into a
What it is today,
Yeah.
which is a
fight
monster.
night. We've
Right
got
now,
16 competitors. It's going to be shot live. We got what do we got? Pay-per-view.
Yeah,
trial.
I think what we'll do, we were talking about this yesterday.
Details to be confirmed, but
Yeah.
this is what we're thinking.
We're thinking it'll be some small commitment if you want to come watch it in the gym.
Charity
as much
based.
as you can, and that'll go to charity. 100% go to charity, and you can come and watch it by the ring. Otherwise, we'll put a link up on Facebook, and you guys can watch it live or watch it after the event as well.
Yeah, and that's all for charity.
Yes,
I think we're doing local bush regen. Was that?
that's
would
the
be
idea,
great.
but we just got to figure out exactly which one we're going to do it for. To be advised by next Thursday.
So we got everyone in the gym putting their names down.
Yeah,
But what are the
Who's
fight
interested?
stills? What do we got? What rule sets?
There's some kickboxing.
Yeah.
There's some grappling. I think we've got some straight boxing.
Gi, no
and
gi.
You put your name down for wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, I go and wrestle.
It's pretty much any whatever matchup we can make for whatever style the two parties are happy with.
Yep.
So there's a whole bunch of names in the hat.
Yeah, we've got a couple
This
of
is
boxes.
it's a bit more serious than we've done before as well. we get an outside ref. I think we agreed on.
Yeah,
This is going to be.
Oh yeah, Pavel was
Pavel's.
very vocal in our
Yeah.
coaches' dev yesterday. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Dude, yeah, he's got some great ideas. He's got a friend
Yeah.
who can do the outside reffing.
And he
So
can
no.
do all of them. He's good
Yeah.
for all styles, which is good.
Awesome.
And completely impartial, so that'll be good.
There's still going to be pads and stuff.
Yes. Yeah,
So
full
it's like a
gear.
heavy sparring under
Headgear-
lights
headgear
type
16
thing.
ounce.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And shinnies.
Correct.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you got to say the vibe in the gym or
It's getting
He's
serious.
He's vibing. Everyone's
getting
walking around,
serious.
lining each other up, asking how much they weigh.
Everyone's like, everyone's like,
training. Everyone's like,
I've
there's
never
little
seen the
fight
bags get
crews
hit
like
so often.
forming as well, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm really liking that. Hopefully, it doesn't like split the gym into splinter cell. Well, you probably want that for 10 weeks.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
little bit of in-house
Ty's already
competition.
started bringing the breakdancing shit talking to me yesterday.
So tell us about the main event, Dills.
That's me versus Ty. We're going at it. We're ready for it.
So I was on our podcast, 3 or 4 podcasts ago?
Yeah.
He's a breakdancer, vegan. He's a new coach in gym. He's working as our office assist at the moment. And
Just finished the internship.
yes, we
Just
didn't
finished.
pair Dills up with Az. We had to have Dills was a bit disappointed, but we had to have a chat with him. Az is a very heavy individual. and
If you
just a
guys
bit too
haven't
big.
seen me and Az is probably about
10 kegs.
10 kilos heavier than me and a good not half
What
a
is he,
foot,
like
just
6'3"
under
or
half a
something? He's
foot
a big
taller than
guy.
me.
He reckons he's got fat on him, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 90 something lean.
Yeah.
And, so we said
to change
to
that
Dills that
matchup.
we should give you someone your own weight.
Which is fair.
And then and Ty was just up for it.
Yeah.
We asked him. Well, we were sitting in the office like, who could it be? And he opened the door and we all looked at him and was like, Ty, you want to fight Dills? And he's like,
what?
so now it's on.
Yeah, I said to him the other day, it's like, just as I'm getting to know you and like you, and now I'm going to kick your head in. What's going on, man?
Oh, there you go.
What did he give you any shit talk?
Oh, yeah, yesterday.
He's
He's like,
a
mate,
master
I'm going
of
to
it.
have to kick the shit out of you coming up. And then he's like, he drew the line on the floor, and then I walked over and put my toe over the line. He's kicking the bag and looking at me. And like, how good is that? What other workplace can you have like the person that you're working with like every single day, and then you're just joking about kicking the shit out of each other, and
then one
kick the
day,
shit out of each
in
other.
10 weeks' time,
Yeah.
you're actually going to kick the shit out
Yep.
of each other.
It's beautiful.
The best.
It's beautiful.
I'm going to have so much fun on that night. There's some good matchups. We got Tim Kindler and Bilal.
Yeah, it's all to
Oh,
be
that's-
confirmed. We're
that's
going to have a
talk.
meeting after this.
And we got
We're gonna-
Paul. Paul's going to potentially fight Pavel.
Yeah. Yeah. I said I'd take
can see the
anyone. I
excitement
just
on his
said
face.
Or
anyone.
maybe Morgan. Yep.
What? Yeah.
Pavel's
Doesn't
our new
matter.
wrestling
I'm
coach.
happy to do anyone. I'm pumped for this. I've actually been
It's
training
like
all
it'll
my
be like
life for this.
fighting like a piece of granite.
Paul's going to do the 10 for 1. He's going to stand in the middle, and all 10 of us are going to come at him, and he's just going to take
just
someone.
just
at a
Bruce
time.
Lee.
One after the
Fist
other.
of Fury.
Yeah, we're gonna have that in the cage upstairs.
I'll be like, cut camera, different angle.
Yeah, and we're actually gonna have commentators as well.
Yeah, looking like except for when he's fighting, and
Yeah.
then
Oh man, it's gonna be
The
good.
J-Rod
Yeah, when I
matchup.
think of
Yes.
oh, the
There's
dry
good
humor.
banter between
Oh.
those two.
that,
Yeah.
bone dry. That humor. Bone dry.
Fantastic.
Oh, it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
then the Christmas party after that. But that's
We've got
we haven't
the
had to talk about that yet.
Persian yoga
Yes.
workshop.
Oh,
talks.
absolutely.
It's on the 14th of November, I believe.
Check out Insta,
Yeah.
Facebook page.
What are these? These are the. Did we talk about them on the last podcast? Not really.
Joe's been talking about it everywhere he
They look
goes
like big
'cause he
rolling
loves it.
pins.
It's called,
great.
I might pronounce it wrong, but it's a MEL, I think.
Meal.
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 M-E-E-L. Yeah. It was used as like a warrior training tool for ancient Persian knights.
For listeners, it's like a
Massive
baseball
club.
bat, a club. It's like
Yeah,
a club, but
thick-ass
inflated one.
baseball bat
Yes.
with a thin handle.
yep.
Yeah, and it was used to develop skills with axes, hammers, and lances.
So there's
Crikey.
a fella who he's going to come and do the workshop.
He's
here,
the guy
and
with
it's
the
open
beard,
to the
isn't he?
public.
Yes,
and he's
it is.
quite jacked.
He's
Oh, yeah.
shredded.
He's like jacked up.
Yeah, but it's he's got a very healthy athletic build to him
Yeah,
from
looks
doing
good.
training like this.
Mhm.
Like it's called Persian yoga actually, and there's other parts of the
There's
discipline
other
with that.
tools
Just
and
swinging the
other
meals.
things he does as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
just the club.
That's just one
No.
of the tools.
But
Yeah.
we'll be
Check his
looking at all
Instagram.
the tools?
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
It's
interesting.
like this one big ass metal bow with like a
Chain
string
on it.
chain.
Oh, wow.
And there's these
Dude.
other stuff. It looks
rough.
badass. I'm very excited for it.
It's just interesting, and I know Joe loves this sort of thing because it's like, it's a cultural study as well. It's like where cultures intersect with health, fitness, and
Yeah.
in parts of it, like moving on religious kind of connotations to it.
Spiritual stuff.
Yeah, they have
on there.
like a temple of strength, and it was only guys that could go, and this is former Iran, yeah. And all the guys would go and train. It's just interesting.
It's
just
really
awesome.
cool.
So anyway,
It's really cool.
that's in the gym. Yeah, get at us. Probably spots will fill up quick, and we would have to
We will
limit
be the
numbers.
Temple of Strength.
Temple of
Oh,
Strength.
yes,
Yeah,
we
man.
will.
Yeah.
Changing the name. Cool. So in wrapping, thank you, Panavore, for the coffee. And
Thanks, Tree.
if you want any help, reach out
Delicious.
to us. junglebrothers.com, Instagram, Jungle Brothers Movement. And then check our Facebook page. Get in touch.
Hit us up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
See you
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.